Guys, do you want to talk about JD Vance? Do you want to make fun of JD Vance? And not just, like, making fun of him for being a couch humper. That's perfectly reasonable. Not only did the Associated Press have to retract their statement about whether or not JD Vance was sexually attracted to couches, which is perfect. It's amazing. It is beautiful, beautiful happenstance. I want Trump to regret every single instance of grabbing the guy that wants to ban pornography and believe that women need to be in violent relationships and never leave them. I really want that to be Trump's downfall more than anything, because obviously things that happen to Trump are not enough to take Trump down, unfortunately. But let's get into fan art, and then let's get into the other JD Vance stuff that we got to talk about. But this first one, let's see here. Somebody just followed. Nate, thank you for the follow. And Taco Legs, thank you for the follow as well. Riddle of Lightning dropped this fan art. Join my group dab, fam. I feel like I'm cringing, and dabbing is like 10 years old now. Or more. And then Riddle of Lightning also had Pernia making me experience cringe. God, I remember that video. That video hurt my brain trying to just deal with it. Just watch it and feel the insides of my brain leaking out just the back. That's where the Bomb Diggity thing was from. I remember now. I remember that's why Riddle of Lightning did the whole Bomb Diggity thing. Because it was in relation to this video. Hello, everybody. Would you like to buy some Bomb Diggity games? That's the enhanced fan art? Okay, cool. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That all said, thank you all for the fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do it is to drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. Anyway, let's talk about JD Vance. Let's talk about something that he called for recently. Now, you know how with the Roe v. Wade situation, right? We used to have Roe v. Wade, which was basically the Supreme Court decision that protected women's rights to an abortion. It was the fallback. It's the reason that Democrats decided never to actually do anything about abortion, even after they had every opportunity to enshrine it. It is one of the worst failures of the Democratic Party. But when Trump was able to get not one, not two, but three people elected to the Supreme Court, he was able to flip the court and make it so that people would lose access to abortion rights, because now it became an issue of states' rights. For every single one of you morons that wants to be like, no, states' rights are a good thing, you don't understand, I want you to go do some research into the Articles of Confederation and see how well that worked for us before. Every states' rights thing always ends with the goose chasing you, going states' rights to what, okay? But let's go ahead and take a listen to what JD Vance said about, women who might be seeking abortions, real quick.
Okay, look, here's the situation. Let's say Roe versus Wade is overruled. Ohio bans abortion, in 2022 or let's say 2024. And then, every day, George Soros sends a 747 to Columbus load up disproportionately black women to get them to go have abortions in California. And of course, the left will celebrate this as a victory for diversity. That's kind of creepy.
Health justice is when we exterminate working class black people.
Something like that could, that would be a really weird turn of events that could happen, yes.
And it's like, if that happens, do you need some federal response to prevent it from happening? Because it's really creepy. And, I'm pretty sympathetic to that, actually.
So, JD Vance is willing to support federal regulation against people leaving their states to get legitimate medical care. That's where we're at with JD Vance. He supports regulation that prevents you from being able to leave your state and get a doctor of your choice. Now, let's not ignore the anti-Semitic dog whistle in there. It's not even really a dog whistle. He's talking privately. The whole, what if George Soros did this, right? What if the Jews and the blacks collaborated against us? That's basically where he's at there. Everybody else in the room should be disgusted with themselves as well, but JD Vance here basically saying that freedoms in America don't matter. What matters most is what JD Vance wants. And what JD Vance wants is restricting freedoms of moving and getting medical care. No small government Republican, none of you, not a single one of you people should be looking at this and going, no, that's a good thing. No. We don't get to do the whole, I don't like it when the government gets involved in my life. And also, thank you, Daddy Vance. Thank you for restricting the rights of black women. We don't get to do that. That's stupid. That is absolutely numbnutted behavior. But don't worry. JD Vance has even more to say about the ways that he wants to restrict democracy. So, I have a question. If you're a parent who has an adopted child, do you feel like you have a say in how America works? I feel like you should. Let's say that you live in America and you're a 21-year-old. You've got your entire life ahead of you. You might have kids one day. Should you have a say in how America works? Yes, obviously. What if you're a 30-year-old who doesn't have kids, right? Maybe you shouldn't have a say in how America works. Well, no, that's not how that works either. This is a democracy. We have a representative government. Everybody who lives here should have a say in how the government works, or everybody who lives here should go ahead and take up arms and give us a different government. Sorry, no. We don't get to do this whole some people should be allowed to vote and some people shouldn't be allowed to vote bullshit. I mean, we do by giving people felonies, but in general, that's not a thing that we should do. However, God, also, you know what's funny? There are some states that make it to where you can't vote if you're a felon, but we're able to run a 34-counted felon for president. God, the double standards. All that matters is that he has money and influence. But JD Vance here, he's got a solution for you, for who he thinks should be allowed to vote in America.
Let's give votes to all children in this country, but let's give control over those votes to the parents of those children.
So, I get to vote once as an adult, but if you're a quiverful maniac with 15 kids and none of them are of age, you get 16 votes. All you have to do to have more influence in the world is pop out more kids. That's insanely stupid to me. Each one of us individually gets our vote because you, as the parent, may do a vote that isn't actually in your kid's best interest. Can you imagine a homophobic parent with a closeted gay kid voting against voting for a person who's going to get rid of gay marriage, but using their kid's vote for that? Can you imagine how nightmarishly stupid that would be? God, that would be horrible. Or what about one of those Republicans who's dating a trans girl but doesn't let anybody know that they're dating a trans girl, and they start voting for the politician who's going to take away that person's rights, right? And they have an adopted kid who's going to be trans. Would you want them voting for the kid? Would you want them voting for the trans girl that they're dating? Would you want that as well? Like, no, we want each American citizen an individual vote. If we agree that kids should not be able to vote for one reason or another, then giving those votes by proxy to parents is a nightmarishly stupid idea. There's no guarantee the parents are going to vote in their kid's best interest. There's no way to... There's too much political propaganda to even ascertain that in the first place, and it literally just strips away voting power from people who have busy lives and don't have kids.
When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality.
No, that's not how this works. Because here's the thing. Not only do laws affect children, but laws affect adults. And let's say that somebody, somebody grows up infertile and they're not able to have kids. And let's say that this person is very socially awkward, so it's hard for them to find a partner, and the adoption system is rigged against people who aren't in straight relationships in the first place. So now we've got this fun scenario where we've literally restricted the voting power of an adult based on shit they have no control over. Sounds really fucking ableist, right? Well, that's because it is. If we're just going to be like, no, you can't vote because you're infertile. No. Since to reduce the age for voting to 16, I hear, I wouldn't mind the age of voting to be dropped to 16. I'm going to be honest, starting kids early into politics is only a net fucking good, and anybody who disagrees with me is a rabid goddamn moron. Every single one of you in the comment section typing away right now, keep kids out of politics. Hey, look, drop my camera again. But every one of you who's typing it away, keep kids out of politics, shut the fuck up, you're stupid, go put your head in a blender. Listen to me. When I was in middle school, I took a class called elections, okay? During the Bush campaign, apparently Brown Bard's middle school had this thing where the elections class was only available during times where there was an active presidential campaign. I think it should have been allowed more often. It's where I learned how to debate in the first place. It's where I learned a lot of things about logic and how the political parties worked. And even though I identified as a Republican back then, merely being given that opportunity to learn how our political system works, learning about voting, learning about how the different branches of government function, that's all politics, right? And that's what I was able to learn in that class. I'm glad that I took that class in middle school. And to the person who goes, you should keep kids out of politics, that person is going to have to contend with there are middle schools that have political classes, and that's okay. That's a fine thing to have. It's better for people to be politically aware earlier so that they can begin the process of developing the habits of being a politically active person, even if all of their activity is centered around just voting. The amount of Americans who do not vote for one reason or another is staggering to me. Let's also not ignore the fact that the younger generation tends to be far more progressive than the older generation, so having younger people voting progressive would be a good thing, and that's one of my incentives for doing this. I'm not going to lie to you about strategy, but just on a moralistic standpoint, developing the habits of going and participating in democracy are a good thing. You push the Overton window further left when you're able to vote local elections further left, when you're able to vote in the primaries further left. And that only happens when you have more people involved in politics in general. And people don't like doing it. People don't like participating until the frickin' general election. Jesus.
If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country...
I have an investment in the future in this country. I'm 32 years old. I'm 32 years old. I plan on being in this country for a long time. My investment in the future of this country is very high because I'm going to be here.
Maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Now, let's give...
The fact that anybody was able to applaud this shit when it happened is insane to me. Looking at the comments on here, there's some that I actually think are very salient. Saying certain people should have more of a say is actually the opposite of democracy. What about parents who've lost their children? What about infertile children? This policy's ludicrous. And how much voting power were you thinking for non-parents, JD Vance? I know your first thought is going to be 3/5, but I think that would be a lowball offer, to be honest. You know, honestly, after the whole what if the Jews and the blacks collaborate against us to get women abortions thing, maybe that's a salient criticism specifically. But that's all I wanted to talk about where JD Vance is concerned. I think the dude's a goddamn goofball and desperately should not have any kind of political power in any way, shape, or form. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Drop this video to a friend if you want them to be more politically aware of stuff. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability that Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Blitzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, Sajit, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.